A reading from the Gospel according to St. Matthew, chapter the 16th. When Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he put this question to his disciples: "Who do people say the Son of Man is?" And they said, "Some say he is John the Baptist, some Elijah, and others Jeremiah or one of the prophets." "But you," he said, "who do you say that I am?" Then Simon Peter spoke up. "You are the Christ," he said, "the Son of the living God." Jesus replied, "Simon, son of Jonah, you are a happy man, because it was not flesh and blood that revealed this to you, but my Father in heaven. So I now say to you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of the underworld can never hold out against it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind upon earth shall be considered bound in heaven. Whatever you loose upon the earth shall be considered loosed in heaven." Then he gave the disciples strict orders not to tell anyone that he was the Christ. Now, that's a pretty famous passage from St. Matthew's account of the Gospel. And we have it several times in the year on the feast days of popes, on St. Peter and Paul. And for us, it's one of those rallying cries of Roman Catholics. This is the establishment of Peter as the first pope. And it's very clear that that's what's going on there. It's such a dramatic account of the event. Who do people say the Son of Man is? Who do people say I am? And they give, lots of dead people. John the Baptist, Elijah, Jeremiah, one of the prophets. You've got their spirits, perhaps. Oh dear. But then it's revealed to Simon Peter. He doesn't work it out. That's quite important. He doesn't work it out. It's revealed to him by the Father that you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. He makes that qualitatively different statement about the identity of Jesus, which could only be revealed to him by the Father. Because the Messiah wasn't necessarily the Son of God. They wouldn't have understood what that meant. But to say that you are the Son of the living God, that was revealed to him by the Father of the Son. And then we see that Peter already is speaking for the rest of the disciples. He's their spokesman. And you see that throughout the Gospels. And you see that in the Acts of the Apostles as well. If you look at the New Testament, who's mentioned the most? Well, Jesus is mentioned the most. Number 2 is Peter, because he's that linchpin, that foundation. He is this foundation upon which the church will be built. And that changing the name in Judaism was of immense importance. By your name you understood what that person, who that person was. That's why Jesus commands to have the names of the devils, as exorcists do now. But to know someone's name is to have a hold over them. And he gives Peter a new name. No longer Simon, but now you are the rock. You are Peter. And then he's giving him these keys and saying again extraordinary things. Whatever you bind here is bound in heaven. Whatever you loose here is loose in heaven. God's trusting you. God's giving you this great authority to be his number 2. And he's giving you these keys, which are of real importance and use. You see, the head of the church is Jesus Christ. The visible head upon earth is his vicar, the one who if you like, stands in for him, who is under his authority, but who acts vicariously for the head himself. Now we see that actually in the first reading of today's Mass from Isaiah 22. We hear this, I think, in Advent. It's one of the O antiphons. When we think of the coming of the Messiah. But here it's applied, well, I'll read it. Isaiah 22, 19 to 23. Thus says the Lord of hosts, Shebna, the master of the palace. I dismiss you from your office. I remove you from your post. And the same day I call on my servant Eliakim, son of Hilkiah. I invest him with your robe, gird him with your sash, entrust him with your authority. And he shall be a father to the inhabitants of Jerusalem and to the house of Judah. I place the key of the house of David on his shoulder. Should he open, no one shall close. Should he close, no one shall open. I drive him like a peg into a firm place. He will become a throne of glory for his father's house. So there we have the establishment of, if you like, the Prime Minister, the one who's going to enact what the king wants. And that is put with this passage from St. Matthew. Now, the Church of Rome is the head of all the churches. It takes primacy, preeminence over all the other dioceses, patriarchal sees. It always has done. It's the faith of the Church of Rome. And if there's any problems anywhere, go to Rome and see what they do. Because I think I said this on St. Peter and St. Paul, because Rome is a centre. Everyone's coming to Rome, going from Rome. It's where everybody meets, where everyone can see what everyone's doing, where the bishops can have their seminars together with St. Peter, and then go back to wherever they're going to go, 2,000 years ago and today. So they were all teaching the same faith, which has been delivered to us from the apostles. We're handing on the same historically, and it's growing geographically. It's the meeting points of history and of peoples, of culture. And it's in the centre, so the Church of Rome itself and its bishop, which guarantee that all these other bits all around the globe and all these other bits through history are all united together, however they may differently express their beliefs, their assent is to the same dogma. Now, I was reading recently a book on heresy by Alistair McGrath, who's a really important theologian, but he's not a Catholic. And in his book on heresy, which was really good, as I say, he talks about, well, how do we actually sort out when there's heresy? And throughout the book, he never mentions going to the Church of Rome. I found that a real lack in it. I don't know why he didn't put that in. Anyway, right from the beginning, from the year 180, we have witnesses, and St. Irenaeus, the Bishop of Lyon. He's writing in 180 against the heresies. And he's handing on a tradition which he's received. And this is what he said about this point, if I can find it. So he wrote this about the Church of Rome and Peter. He said, "The very great, the very ancient and universally known church founded and organized at Rome by the two most glorious apostles, Peter and Paul, as also the faith preached to men, comes down to our time by means of the successions of the bishops. For it is a matter of necessity that every church should agree with this church, meaning the Church of Rome, on account of its preeminent authority, that is, the faithful everywhere. The blessed apostles then, having founded and built up the church, committed it to the hands of Linus, the office of the episcopate. Linus was Peter's successor, as we mentioned in the Roman canon. To him succeeded Anacletus, and after him in third place from the apostles Clement. To this Clement there succeeds Evaristus. Alexander followed Evaristus. Then sixth from the apostles Sixtus was appointed, after him Telephorus, who was gloriously martyred, then Hyginus after him, Pius then after him, Anicetus, Soter having succeeded Anicetus, Eleutherius does now, in the 12th place from the apostles, hold the inheritance of the episcopate. In this order and by the succession, the ecclesiastical tradition from the apostles and the preaching of the truth have come down to us, and this is most abundant proof that there is one and the same vivifying faith which has been preserved in the church from the apostles until now and handed down in truth. So that's what the great St. Irenaeus is writing. Go to Rome. Find out what the Church of Rome and its bishops, how they're living the faith. And if you do that, you'll be all right. Anyway, from a very, very wet Manchester, have a happy Sunday. And if you look at the grey clouds carefully, you might see God's holy angels, that they're with us in our homes, loving us and protecting us. May they be with you and all those whom you love, both in this world and the next. God